Welcome back to Storytime. In today's episode, we're going to be continuing our reading of Machines and Men. But before we jump into it, just a quick reminder, you can follow us on our social media sites at r/Creant World on Reddit, where you can submit ideas and stories for future Storytime episodes. Just as a quick reminder, Of Machines and Men is a story that may not be appropriate for all ages, as it does contain strong language and sexual situations. Viewer discretion is advised. And now, Machines and Men, Chapter 15, The Human Heart. Meg led Steve into her bedroom, and the two collapsed onto the bed. Drunk as he was, and distracted by other things, Stephen couldn't help noticing that Meg's room was liberally decorated with nerd stuff. She had a life-size standee of Thranduil from The Hobbit in one corner, and posters of various TV shows and anime lined the walls. There were also piles of clothes and laundry in a basket, and she had disheveled sheets on her unmade bed. Stephen was trying to take all these things in when Meg distracted him with another protracted kiss, and everything else became unimportant. The next morning brought swift and potent brutality to Stephen's mind. The dawn broke, bringing light through the curtains into Meg's room, light which found his eyes and bombarded them with brightness he was not prepared to deal with. His head felt as though it had been split open, and his ears were still ringing from the music of the night before. Stephen tried to shoo the light away, but the photons refused to obey, so he sat up, big mistake, and tried to close the curtains more completely. He finally got them shut, and it took him a moment to recognize that he wasn't in his room. But as he remembered, his eyes grew larger and larger as his mind forced sobriety. It wasn't only the fact that he was more hungover than he had ever been, though that was a contributing factor. It was also the horror at what he had done. He had done it with Meg. Sure, fine, okay, yes, he had thought about it, and yes, he might have even flirted with her a little bit at work, but he hadn't intended to fuck her. She was his co-worker, she was his friend, and she was not his girlfriend. His girlfriend. The thought made him want to puke. He had cheated on Vera. He'd betrayed her trust. The idea made him want to cry. Vera was so sweet and innocent, and he had told her that he didn't know when he would be home. But he hadn't expected that he would be gone all night. In his mind, he imagined Vera sitting in a chair facing the door, waiting for him to come back, like a dog waiting for its master. How could he face her, knowing that he had repaid her dedication and loyalty by being with another woman? The knowledge that he was a cheater was far worse than anything else Stephen had done in the past. And it wasn't just Vera he had wronged. What about Meg? He had taken advantage of her drunkenness. She had been impaired last night. Her brain plied with alcohol and made her do things she wouldn't have normally. His chivalry had told him it was wrong to take advantage of that, but he had gone along with it anyway. He should have told her no, waited to see if she still felt the same way when she was sober. But he hadn't. He had fucked her. He had fucked her hard. And now everything was all fucked up, and it was his fault. Many years before, Stephen had had a girlfriend named Lauren who had fucked him once and then disappeared. No one knew where she had gone to. It was just like she had simply dropped off the face of the earth. He had come to find out that she had been cheating on her boyfriend with him for months while the poor guy was on active duty, and that when he returned, Lauren had gone back to him as if nothing had ever happened. It made him sick that she could betray his trust like that, and now he was no better than she was. The guilt he was feeling was overwhelming. Stephen wanted to confess, needed to confess what he had done. He felt like he was going to explode if he had to keep this secret. Shaking Meg's sleeping form, Stephen felt shame overwhelming him like a tidal wave.
Morning,
Meg yawned, rubbing the sleep out of her eyes.
I'm surprised to find you still here. Do you even one-night stand, bro?
She paused when she caught the look of intense urgency and suffering on Stephen's face.
What is it?
She asked in a totally different voice, and Stephen told her. The words poured out of him like a torrent. He told her about his past, about Becky breaking up with him. He told her about Vera, told her how he felt about Vera, and told her how he felt about her now. He vomited sentence after sentence without pause and without catching his breath for a solid 20 minutes until he was dry. When he was finished, Stephen felt the wave of emotions break over him, and he began to cry. He was so ashamed. He felt like he wanted to curl into a ball and sink through the floorboards. He felt like a worm, a piece of dirt that didn't even deserve to exist in the world of clean beings. Meg listened to everything Stephen said without interrupting him. Like Stephen, it hurt her to think that she had stolen someone else's man. But unlike Stephen, Meg couldn't help but think that she hadn't stolen anything from anyone. Stephen was Vera's creator, not her boyfriend. Robots couldn't feel love or jealousy or hate. They were empty machines. Without thinking, Meg touched the golden crucifix around her neck and asked God for forgiveness, not so much for taking Stephen from Vera, but for seducing him in general. It had been her, after all, who had invited him up, and she could have had less to drink last night. Touching the little piece of gold always brought her a modicum of comfort, though. Even though she didn't believe in God as a father figure that could actually forgive her, or at least that's what she told herself, years of Christian upbringing still made it a conditioned response for her to recant her sins. She patted Stephen on the back as he started to cry, not really sure what else to do. Finally, she hugged him close to her still naked body and rocked him back and forth gently as he cried.
It's okay, Stephen,
she said softly. No, it's not, he said, turning towards her a look that radiated depression and despair. It's not okay. I'm a cheater. What am I going to tell Vera and you? Oh, God. I'm so sorry, Meg.
I know you are,
she said, taking his hand in hers.
Don't worry, Stephen. We can figure it out. I'm sure Vera won't mind. She's programmed to like you no matter what. She won't be jealous.
But it was wrong, Stephen wailed. I knew it was wrong and I did it anyway. A pained look crossed Meg's face. She was trying to be understanding, but it seemed like Stephen was saying that having sex with her had been something awful.
I'm sorry,
she said in her voice subdued.
She's beautiful. I know I don't have her confidence or her looks. I guess I was just hoping for something that wasn't there.
Stephen lifted his head at that. Meg, he started slowly. It's not that I don't like you.
You just like her more,
Meg said flatly, not meeting his gaze. No, it's just... Stephen stammered.
It might be best if you go,
Meg said, feeling her own voice quaver with imminent tears. Stephen tried to grasp the complex emotions that were going on in his head. He wanted to apologize to Meg, and he also wanted to apologize to Vera. Meg was cute and nerdy, and when she felt comfortable around him, she was a real delight. Vera was perfect, literally his perfect woman, but she could never be human. Part of him wanted to go home to Vera, apologize profusely, and beg her to forgive him. But another part wanted to stay here, take Meg in his arms, and tell her that they could be together. She deserved to be happy, and he couldn't deny that he did like her. His mouth opened and closed a few times, but the words which had poured out of him earlier seemed to have left his vocal well dry, and now there was nothing left that he could say. Stephen got dressed slowly and felt like lead weights were strapped to him. He moved out of the room, pausing by the door. He turned to Meg, still sitting on the bed, the covers pulled up to hide her nakedness, her legs drawn up to her chest, her eyes not meeting his. He wanted to say something because he saw the look of hurt and abandonment on Meg's face, but all he managed was, I'll see you at work. Before closing the door behind him, Stephen left the apartment and headed home. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that episode, go ahead and hit that like button. And for more videos like this every week, you can subscribe and become a Creant yourself. You can also follow us on our social media platforms, including on our Creant Reddit at r/CreantWorld. Until next time, we'll see you later.